Hi guys, Andrew Salciunas here, my man Connor Thomas. Another day of post-show headlines. We do 5 topics, 2 minutes each. Sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes they're a little bit shorter, but we make the 10-minute mark every single time because that's what we're supposed to do, Connor, with our digital content. So today, here's right away, let's jump into it. Topic number 1. We had Derek Gunn on the show, who was like, it blew my mind. Derek Gunn said on the air that Brandon Graham re-tore the same triceps that he tore earlier in the season against the Rams during the Super Bowl. So he comes back from the injury quicker than expected, probably to play in what could have been his last game, and he re-tears the triceps. So shout out to you, D. Gunn, for the great reporting that you always do. We know that he has obviously a great connection with Brandon Graham.
Of course.
Where does Brandon Graham fall in the legendary status of Philadelphia athletes? Like, we're still in it right now. He could come back next year. Derek Gunn did not rule that out.
Yeah.
But, like, you think of Philadelphia legends. Obviously, we think of, like, guys like Chuck Bednarik pop up well before our time. But, like, Brandon, I don't know when Chuck Bednarik passed away, respectfully. It may have been before I was born.
I think it was recent, actually.
Or was it recent?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll double check it. Brandon Graham's going to be that guy that 40, 50 years from now, people are talking about as an all-time Eagle.
Yeah, for sure. There's a case that can be made that Brandon Graham has the more, I hate to say more important, and I don't mean to pit these guys against each other, but when you look at Brandon Graham's career and Jason Kelce's career, Brandon Graham now has 2, when Kelce didn't play long enough.
Yeah.
And Brandon Graham also has the seminal moment of the 1 Super Bowl win with the strip sack. I mean, this dude has some of the biggest moments of our lifetime as an Eagles player, and also gutsy performer, captain of the team, as I don't want to say never had an issue with the locker room, because we know what happened with the passing game this year, but like, he's a great leader, a great personality, does great stuff for the community. He's up there.
Like, he's a legend.
When you build the Mount Rushmore of the Philadelphia Eagles, Brandon Graham has a strong case for his space.
By the way, Bednarik 2015 passed away, but played well before our lifetime.
Yeah.
And I can picture the picture of him standing over Joe Pisarcik, and like, we had nothing to do with that. We weren't around for that. The Brandon Graham strip sack photo is going to go down in history.
And the toughness factor that, like, listen, I've torn my triceps on both sides, both arms.
Yes.
It still bothers me years and years and years later not playing any high-level athletics. Like, Brandon Graham, to do that in the Super Bowl, the same arm where he had previously torn it and played through it, is unbelievable. I can't play pickup basketball without it bothering me.
Right.
This dude played in the damn Super Bowl. He's a monster. I love BG.
Yeah. By the way, Frank Gifford, Pisarcik was the quarterback for the Giants with another infamous Eagles-Giants moment with the miracle at the Meadowlands.
Yes.
You know, look, I'm 31. I'm working here, people. All right, question number 2. Towards the end of the show, we went through a report from Jeff Passan that scouts all over baseball are keeping an eye on Christopher Sanchez as the next big name that hits the scene. Now, he did make an all-star game last year, but I don't think many people, like, I'm sure there were a lot of baseball fans that watched the all-star game and said, who the hell is this? Who's Christopher Sanchez? Like, there was probably a fan in Texas that had no idea who Christopher Sanchez was. Who are some players that you, Mr. Locked On Phillies podcast, believe have, like, a big season, a boom season, even if it's one of the stars? Like, you could think that Trey Turner has, like, some big resurgence season. Who are some people that you think will pop this year for the Phillies?
So I totally agree with the Christopher Sanchez thing. I think last year he was like baseball nerds' favorite player. Like, if you were deep in the game, he got a Cy Young vote. Now, he was nowhere close to winning the award, but I think people who are deep in the analytics and really love the sport loves Christopher Sanchez. He becomes a household name.
And what's not to love? 6'5" and a lefty, and he throws gas.
Added weight, throws harder. Beautiful thing. 2 guys that I'm very bullish on this year for the Philadelphia Phillies. One is Bryson Stott.
Okay.
He had a rough year last year.
He did.
So he has a lot of room to improve upon that. But also, he was dealing with approach issues. He didn't know what type of hitter he wanted to be. He was a pretty darn good one the year before that. So he has already data to say, this is what you should be doing. You tried something new. It didn't work, and you kind of got caught in between. I think he bats over 280 this year.
Okay.
And also, I think Orion Kerkering, speaking of becoming household names, I think he is one of the top 7 to 8 relievers in baseball this year. I think he's that good this year, because I think there's a good chance that he ends up in the closing role at some point this year.
He was a stud last year. The playoffs 2 years ago, I don't even know if that was on him.
No,
he worked his way up from single A, and oh, by the way, the analytics, they just kept he just threw the slider over and over and over and over.
Yeah, it was a
over.
weird spot for him, but he's having a monster year.
By the way, I'm surprised you didn't say Brandon Marsh.
I mean, I'm realistic on some stuff. I think he's all right.
All right, so you just mentioned that you tore both your triceps, something I didn't know about you.
Yes.
We're going to put our, back in my day when we were athletes, what was the worst injury that you ever played through? Because Brandon Graham, again, reported that he re-tore the triceps. So clearly he played through it, finished. Nolan Smith played through the torn triceps. He actually tore it in the first half or early in the third quarter and finished out the game. So when we were idiots back in the day, now you did play D3 baseball, so you have that over me. What was the worst injury that you played through?
I had one when I played ball after school, when I played in this like semi-pro league or whatever, where I was pitching and having a good outing, and a guy made an error behind me. I went into the dugout after the inning, and I tried to punch the bench, and I missed hitting my knuckles. I hit my wrist, and I broke my wrist. And I didn't know at the time it was broken. It was just very bad. And we had 2 weeks until playoffs. I was getting the ball in game one. I knew that. So I was like, I'm taking the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to throw. I'll be ready for the playoffs. I didn't go and get it checked out.
Of course.
I just took a bunch of Advil. The day I went out on the mound, I must have taken like 6 or 7 Advil.
Dr. Thomas.
Not good for you folks. And I pitched in that playoff game, and I threw 5 innings with a broken wrist on my throwing hand. And then I went and I got x-rays after, and they're like, yeah,
do we have to put some
broken.
sort of disclaimer on this, Dylan, that we suggest that you do not take 10 Advils to play baseball?
No, don't do that. But I pitched with a broken wrist on my throwing hand. That was bad.
So I'll go with the position that you throw to. In the first inning of a game, I broke up a double play, and I rolled over my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
I found out 9 innings later at the hospital that I tore multiple ligaments in my wrist on my catching hand. I caught all 9 innings. Every time I caught the ball, my wrist was just doing this. It was dead.
Jesus, man.
I ended up batting one-handed the rest of the game because I literally could not grip.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "Oh, just keep icing it." My dad was the coach, so I kept putting it in the cooler that he would bring to games, and I would just power through. And then after the game, my dad's like, "Wow, that's really bruised and swollen." I was like, "Yeah, Dad,
hurts pretty bad."
Yeah, it hurt. 8 innings ago, it hurt and tore ligaments.
Did you guys win the game?
I don't remember.
Oh, come on.
I think I blacked out, honestly.
It's only worth it if you win. That's why BG's is so great.
All right, you have a story that you told me off the air. For the sake of the establishment, we will not mention any names.
Yeah.
But please tell the people what you told me earlier today.
So me and my buddies, it's mainly my friends that live in Center City. I live in Fishtown. They have a pizza place that they swear by. It's their favorite place to get late night pizza. And it recently closed down because they did not pass their health inspection. There is a laundry list of reasons that came out. I read them to Salciunas in one of our breaks today.
It was the whole commercial break.
Anything you can imagine that's wrong with like the health and safety of this restaurant was wrong. And they closed for about a week and a half. They have just now reopened. My question is, would you go and eat at that establishment again?
Yes.
Me too. And I won't think twice about it.
And here's why. Those things were already happening. And I loved the food.
Yep.
And I might hesitate to go. Like, I wouldn't go back reopening day, but I would go back eventually if it's my favorite place. Like, we had a place that used to be in this building a couple places ago, and they would fail every other month. Mm-hmm. And they would be closed for like a day or two, and then they would reopen, and I would be back to getting breakfast down there.
See, what you want to do, though, right, is you want to go the first time they open because you can't wait. You've seen Bar Rescue.
Because that's the cleanest it's going to be.
When John Taffer comes in and yells, "Shut it down," you want to be the next person in that building because the story, you never know if it works out long term.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so shout out that pizza place. I'll be back.
All right, last thing. Now, I love that you're here for this. Because John obviously has different life experiences than I do, and he obviously has different life experiences than you do, and you are somebody that does not have a child. I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old. I want to ask you, because I told you about the night terror thing the other day.
Yeah.
When your spouse or girlfriend or whatever is pregnant, and you're expecting to have a kid, you always hear the same thing from previous parents. A, man, enjoy it while it's going on because it flies by. And B, enjoy the sleep while you still can. Those are the two things you always hear. Nobody warned me that my kid would be terrified of his own shadow the first time he saw it.
Mhm.
Nobody warned me of night terrors where he would be screaming, "Give me back my milk." Like,
Kid needs his milk.
because that's what kids are afraid of at the age of 3. What are some things that you think you argue a toddler with over?
I'd argue with them over.
Yeah, like you're trying to explain to them, like they're angry with you.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be as cool and calm as collected because you're the adult in the room, but every once in a while you just get frustrated and you have to be like, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell you, food would be a pretty tough thing. Like you always see the trope of like kids don't want to eat their vegetables. I feel like getting them to eat the proper dinner would be a tough thing to do. Bedtime would probably be a tough one that I think of. Eating stuff off the ground. I feel like I was not an eat stuff off the ground kid, but I had a lot of friends that were. Dylan says that's shocking. I was not. The pizza story will refute that, but there were a lot of friends of mine as young kids that were eat stuff off the ground kids.
Okay,
I think that would be a worry as well.
Yeah, Coop eats things off the food, so that off the floor.
It happens.
Off the floor. That happens.
5 seconds.
But yesterday, so he wanted a Nutri-Valley bar, like the soft ones.
Yeah.
And he picked it out of the box. He handed it to me. I opened it. The way he handed it to me, he squeezed it, so it broke in half.
Right.
And I gave it to him. It's broken. I'm like, buddy, it's not broken. Give me a full one. I'm like, no. I opened this one. You're gonna eat this one. Stomping his feet on the floor, fell on the floor, rolling around, screaming, "I want a new one!" And I'm just like, buddy, this is the one you're going to get. Yeah. So either eat that or you're not eating anything. I'm not eating anything. All right.
Okay.
Sure enough, 2 minutes later, he goes up to it and eats it. This is yummy. I'm like, yeah, dude, because it's the same thing.
You can't break it.
It's just not broken. But these are the things that nobody warns me about.
Yeah.
Nobody warned me that I would be arguing with my son over a broken in half Nutri-Valley bar or Nutri-Grain bar, whatever the hell it's called.
They're drunk people, man. You dealt with your drunk friends in college. That's what's happening to kids. They just randomly argue about stuff that makes no sense.
This is worse.
It's worse?
The drunk friend that just wants to fight somebody or wants a girl, and you have to try to either tell them go for it or don't go for it. You have to literally tell a kid you are nonsensical for thinking that this is a poor product because you broke it in half.
Hey, sometimes the drunk friend also wants contaminated pizza. So there's levels to all of this.
All right. Enjoy your vacation. Have fun golfing. Keep cheating the way that you always do.
I don't cheat.
Tomorrow, Andrew DeCecco will be doing the entire show with me. Amy Fadul, the entire show on Friday. John will be back on Monday. Connor will be back on Tuesday. I'm the only one that works around here, apparently. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning on The Fanatic. Hey, guys. Andrew Salciunas from Kincade and Salciunas. Thank you for checking out all of our stuff on YouTube. Make sure you click, like, subscribe on everything that you see. And, of course, you can see everything from our YouTube feed. Full shows, interviews, when John's being an idiot, which is like 15 times a day. So make sure you check out all of our stuff on YouTube. We appreciate it.